Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, September 15th, 2016. I'm Maral Ketwari.
And I'm Alexandria Garcia. Welcome to the Local Live.
Our community remembers the September 11th attacks.
The Democratic primary results are in. Also, a Mamaroneck Avenue parking update is coming up.
The Village of Mamaroneck Zoning Board of Appeals changes restrictions on Ralph's Italian Ices.
We have a new duo in town. Find out who coming up.
The Rhinebeck Panthers have our play of the week.
Find out what's trending in our segment in the media.
The Kiwanis Car Show also took place on Sunday.
Stay tuned for our roundtable with Elizabeth Bradley to save the Larchmont Playhouse.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is the Local Live.
This past Sunday marked the 15th year since the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center. Members of the Larchmont and Mamaroneck communities gathered in Memorial Park to honor those who were killed and offered support to survivors. Many local public officials came to pay their respects to victims and family members. They reflected on the events of that horrible day. In a moving speech, Westchester County Legislator Catherine Parker expressed the importance of grieving and growing together.
To be here with all of you from Larchmont and Mamaroneck, all of us Westchester residents, all of us proud.
There were also songs and prayers to commemorate the heroism and unity that came in the wake of the attacks. On behalf of all of LMC TV staff and volunteers, we would like to offer our most sincere condolences to all the families and friends affected in our community. We will never forget.
We are just 53 days away from the election day, and the fight for the Village of Mamaroneck trustee seats have narrowed down since the Democratic primaries on September 13th. Victor Teffer led with 467 votes, followed by Keith Wade with 465 votes, and finally incumbent Leon Potok with 434 votes, leaving candidate Stuart Teekert out of the race with only 354 votes. According to the Westchester County Board of Elections, these results are at 100% after 1,720 residents from the 15 districts in the Village of Mamaroneck participated in the primary elections.
Prior to the Democratic primary, the League of Women Voters and the Mamaroneck Review interviewed the Democratic candidates running for trustee in the Village of Mamaroneck. They shared their personal bios, reasons for running, and their views on village problems. The candidates discussed flooding and the Army Corps of Engineers mitigation plan, water quality of the Long Island Sound, industrial area, infrastructure, and of course, parking.
And speaking of parking in the Village of Mamaroneck, the pilot program to test multi-space meters and single-space smart meters on Mamaroneck Avenue has come to an end. This program started at the end of May and finished 1 week after Labor Day. The purpose of the parking pilot was to decide what kind of meters were preferred among residents. Village Manager Richard Slingerland said that the online parking survey did not get a lot of responses, but that they received input from residents via email. Currently, the village manager is working on a new parking report that will be shared with the parking committee on September 22nd at the Regatta.
We are looking forward to hear the parking committee's recommendations on the pilot program as they present them to the Board of Trustees. It should be noted that the parking committee also did a survey among the residents and business owners and concluded that residents of the Village of Mamaroneck did not want multi-space meters. They only recommended the implementation of multi-space meters at the village parking lots. Slingerland said that now that the pilot is over and multi-space meters and smart meters installed in the village will be replaced for the old single-space coin meters.
During an over 5-hour-long zoning board meeting, Ralph's Italian Ices became a center of discussions yet again after several noise and traffic complaints by the neighborhood and a new request by the owner to stay open until 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and until midnight Saturday and Sunday.
Late at night, when we are all quiet, our neighborhood is quiet, everyone's trying to sleep. If you have even just 3 or 4 people in the parking lot laughing and having a good time, which they like to do, it's almost as annoying as later in the afternoon when you have 20 people.
You have the nerve to come before the board and ask to soften the hours and promote the problems that the neighbors are complaining about.
I'm a local ice cream shop owner. We're serving ice cream to people. We're not doing anything different. You have Walters down the block from here. There's people going outside in enormous lines for hot dogs. People love it for years and years. Why are my customers so much louder than Walter's? Carvella's an ice cream store that's been here for years as well. Why are my customers so much louder than theirs? They're not. I don't understand what the whole vendetta against Ralph's is. I don't get it. But we've done a lot of things in this community.
This is a small community. And for most of us, we have to be adjacent to commercial properties. And commercial properties have to be able to do their business, to be vibrant, to succeed.
The board decided to allow the establishment to stay open later at a compromised time. From now on, weekdays, Ralph's will be open until 10:30 p.m. and on Friday and Saturday to midnight. The board also ruled that Ralph's would have to turn off their lights at an earlier time.
Vincent was officially introduced to the Village of Mamaroneck at this week's Board of Trustees meeting. But who is Vincent? He's a new canine patrolling the streets of the friendly village with his partner, Officer Osvaldo Ramos. The duo graduated from K-9 school in June after 17 weeks of training and began patrolling Mamaroneck on June 27th. Vincent is a Belgian Malinois German Shepherd, the preferred breed for law enforcement dogs. He was born in the Netherlands, and in February 2016, Officer Ramos selected him to be the village's new canine. Here's Peter Malavenda with what's trending in the media.
A foil a day. That is the way Village of Mamaroneck resident Stuart Tiekert spends his day. This according to a full-length feature in the Mamaroneck Review detailing Tiekert's persistent use of the Freedom of Information Act. Over the past 12 months, Tiekert has submitted 638 of the village's nearly 900 total requests, and that's only the beginning. Check out the feature to find out more. And when a 13-year-old Larchmont athlete was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, her assistant softball coach decided to step up to the plate, starting an online fundraiser to help pay for the family's medical expenses. Just 3 months after her July diagnosis, Jay Hazeman has raised over $30,000 for the girl, surpassing his initial goal of $25,000. Jordan Pryor was diagnosed with nasopharyngeal cancer, the cause of which is still unknown. And the Larchmont Public Library is ready to start a new chapter. After extensive renovations, the building is set to reopen this Monday, September 12th at 9 a.m. The Loop is reporting that an official grand opening is scheduled for Saturday, September 24th. The Library Board of Trustees are excited to turn the page on a place that gets more than 250,000 visits every year. And the New York State Police are investigating complaints of a dangerous new telephone scam. Here's how it works. An unknown caller threatens to harm a loved one if the person answering the phone doesn't pay up. The Daily Voice has details about the exact nature of these calls, but authorities are asking anyone who has received any suspicious phone call to report it to their local police department. And a new face at the Marine Education Center at Harbor Island Park is making a splash this week. The center is, for the first time, taking on a professional naturalist. His name is Kyle Elizabeth Troy, and he's been everywhere, working as a biologist in Florida, California, and even right here in New York. The Mamaroneck Review is reporting that along with additional new resources and expanded space, the future of the educational center is looking bright. Well, if you can find it online, you can find it right here in the media. I'm Peter Malavenda.
Here we are. Am I on?
Are we on? I think we are.
I think we're on, yes. I'm Michael Witch, and with me is Maura Carlin, and we're here for our roundtable discussion, our live roundtable discussion. And I must admit, Maura, that when I think of going to the movies, I generally think of going to a multiplex.
You like those big comfy seats?
I like those big seats, yes, and I like all the food that they serve, but to tell you the truth, our guests tonight, well, they've got a different take on it. And I'm happy to introduce two of our guests who are here to plead with you to help save the Larchmont Playhouse. The Larchmont Playhouse is a unique theater. We're going to find out why. It's been around for 85 years.
That's right.
And with me is Betsy Bradley. And Betsy, you're the co-chair of a committee, the committee to save the Larchmont Playhouse.
That's correct.
And with you is Tommy Breen. And Tommy, you are, well, you do a lot of things, but among them, you're a filmmaker.
Yes, filmmaker. And for the organization, I've been doing media relations, trying to help get the word out, get more attention for the cause.
Well, you've got a website, and you've also got a change.org site, and you have made huge progress in just the few months that you've been trying to save the Larchmont Playhouse. So tell us, Betsy, what is going on?
So thank you for that wonderful introduction, and we are pleading for everyone's support. The plan to save the Playhouse has been in operation for about 3 months. It really kicked off the week that school got out, which is probably the worst possible time to start any fundraising campaign, at least in southern Westchester. And as of today, we have about $610,000 raised in pledges. We have become a 501c3, so we are authorized to take your donations, and we've gotten the support from over 550 residents of Larchmont, Mamaroneck, and the surrounding communities, all of whom feel that a playhouse like the Larchmont Playhouse deserves to have another life, deserves to have another chance, because it really is the cultural anchor of Larchmont. We don't have the Emlyn in Larchmont. We have a movie theater that is a destination for young and old. And
obviously, you folks remember that this is a time when you could call in and ask a question or make a point. And
that's right. We want you to participate, and just call, email, tweet. The contact information is on your screen.
So what happened? All of a sudden, the Larchmont Playhouse is closing?
What happened was that the owner, who had tried in vain to get the permission to make it into a residence, multiple residences, decided to flip it. He'd only owned the property for a little more than a year. And we found out, when everyone else did, in the late spring, when there was an article, a LOHUD piece about possibilities for the Playhouse and the future of it. There was interest on the part of the Pelham Picture House very early in having a Kickstarter to gauge what they might be able to do. And when that was suspended, because it was the bids were coming in fast and furious and there was no time for a nonprofit to act, then a group of Larchmont residents stepped in to really raise awareness. Very few people knew this was happening, and also to start fundraising to see what we might be able to do ourselves.
Tommy, why do we want to save a small local movie house? Betsy just mentioned it's got social implications, it's got business impact, obviously the business area. Is that why we want to save it, or is there more to it?
That's part of the reason. Personally, I think it's probably the most beautiful building in downtown Larchmont.
It has a history, doesn't it?
Years.
Yeah, I think it's irreplaceable. I don't think they could build a building like that today. And
it's always been a theater, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's built as a theater, that's right.
And if this is the time to get involved and save the theater, because if we lose it, we're not going to get another chance to save it in the future.
And you've reached out to a number of people who live in the area who are in the business, Ang Lee for one, who's come out in support of it. Anybody else?
Had you spoken to?
Well, we've been in touch with members of some of our most celebrated families, the Dillon family, for example, and I think everyone is privately very supportive, interested to see what is going to happen, because it's a challenging moment for movie theaters across the country. And what we're finding is that the sort of art house, there's a kind of indie art house model that is popping up places like the Nighthawk in Williamsburg or the Metrograph. I just read that the state of New York has put money toward restoring an old theater in the city of Troy. There's a lot of interest in this, but everybody understands the movie theater model as it stands is a challenged one. We need to rethink this. And so I think the same, for that reason, I think a lot of our sort of local celebrities are privately supportive and waiting to see how they can manifest their support as we move forward.
So if you are successful, you have to come up with a lot more money.
Yes.
And that's why you're eager to get interest and pledges from our viewers.
That's right.
And what's your vision of what the Larchmont Playhouse could become?
Well, we very much see it as a community anchor, even more so, I think, than it has been to date. As Tommy mentioned, because it is irreplaceable, we wanted to capitalize on the fact of the sentimental attachment people have to it, but also of the 21st century kind of space it could be. So it can be both a first-run theater and also a place where you might come for a midnight screening of the Rocky Horror Show, where we might have early matinees for parents with young children, where you can make as much noise as you want during Frozen or whatever it might be, and to really see it as a nimble place that responds to the community, which spans brand new families to seniors who are aging in place, who very much see it as a resource.
So you don't see it competing with the multiplexes?
Not at all. I don't think it's the same kind of experience. We will never have those cushy seats that you were talking about, unfortunately. But I think what we will have is the opportunity for local filmmakers to showcase their work and for people to feel engaged in film culture in a way that you can't right now.
Is the plan to keep the 3 screening rooms?
That's a really good question. The plan right now is to keep the main screening room, which you can see a beautiful picture of on our website that Tommy's brother James took with its spectacular sort of gilded proscenium, and to keep one of the side theaters, and then to turn the third space either to make it flexible so that you can, if you wanted to rent it for a Super Bowl viewing party, you could, or we can have educational programming there, student filmmaking, and also in part keep it flexible because we're trying to find a restaurant tenant that would expand the concessions. This is how successful movie theaters make it these days, places like the Alamo Drafthouse. You have a concession that offers beer and wine that has a little bit more interest and a higher profit margin so you can keep your movie theater afloat.
So how does a local group, concerned residents, raise this kind of money and then also know how to operate?
It's a very good question as well. And I don't think we would be looking to operate it on our own. We would hope to partner with a place like the Pelham Picture House. Pelham Picture House has been incredibly supportive of our efforts. They're very interested to see the Playhouse remain a vibrant playhouse. And we wouldn't be trying to wear brand new hats as movie theater operators. I have a background in public programs, but not in running a movie theater. Tommy, on the other hand, may be better situated. Tommy has found us some spectacular publicity and in a way has sort of helped to keep this whole effort alive in the dog days of the summer.
Yeah, we've been report on NBC, CBS, News 12 Westchester, FiOS, Wall Street Journal's written about the campaign. So if you go onto the Facebook page or website, you can see links to all the stories and get more details and see if it's something you want to get involved with.
You have a petition ongoing now at change.org to Barry Sinnott. Who's Barry Sinnott?
Barry Sinnott is the broker at Caldwell Banker Commercial who is representing the seller. And originally the petition was set up because we needed the petition to go somewhere. And he's proved to be a very affable individual who has let us tour the building, every piece of the building, multiple times with prospective investors, people that we're in contact with. So the petition isn't meant to be inflammatory. Having a destination for the petition is a way for us to spread the word, because as the petition goes out, more people learn about our cause. It's kind of a vehicle for educating people about the plight of the Playhouse.
What's the time frame on all of this?
You're asking all the tough questions. Well, today we heard from Barry that there is an offer on the Playhouse. When we set up this interview, we thought we were coming to you to say there are no outstanding offers, because some of the offers that galvanized us in the beginning had faded away. But there is currently an offer, and we are in talks with a number of different developers who are considering working with us. There's nothing firm right now, so I come to you with a lot of squishiness in our.
Do you get
model.
the sense that the owner would like to sell to a nonprofit organization and have it stay a local movie theater?
I do. I think the more press that we have garnered, the more that the owner, who is not based in Westchester or even New York State, has come to see how valuable this theater is to the community and what a resource it could be, even more than it is today. And so I think he would like to, but at the same time, I think he's looking to turn a profit. So that's the crux of the matter for everybody.
When I looked on your website, I was very impressed to see frequently asked questions, and among them was, do you have a business plan? And you have laid out a pretty detailed plan.
Thank you.
So you've thought this through.
Yes.
It's not just a pipe dream.
Well, we're lucky in that some of the original people who jumped on board to kind of get this movement going, who have been silent partners in some ways, many of them are people who are in the business world and who can really help us think some of these details through. And one of our colleagues, my co-chair, Ellen Zuckert, is trained as a lawyer, which has been immensely helpful as we go through.
We have a question.
Go ahead.
Someone wants to know whether you're also trying to save the Mamaroneck Playhouse. As people may recall, Bowtie bought Clearview, which ran both theaters originally.
Yes.
And Mamaroneck closed in
2014, I think.
Yes.
We are not trying to save the Mamaroneck Theater, not because we don't believe it deserves to be saved. I grew up in Larchmont, Mamaroneck, and have very fond memories of the Mamaroneck Theater, but it is not the owner is not accepting offers at this time. He's trying to lease it, so we're not able to even move forward with that effort. I know there are people, Mamaroneck residents, who have tried and have not had any success with him. So that's
Okay. Are there any film distributors who you've contacted who would be interested in programming an indie house?
We have been in touch with film distributors and as I said, with not just the Pelham Picture House, but with other community-supported movie theaters around the country, and there are a number of different models. The Bedford is another theater that's just sort of in the germinating stages right now that we have spoken with, and it's our understanding that our best bet, if we were to be in partnership with a place like Pelham, is to to share the movie distribution opportunities there. We've learned it's been a crash course in how you operate a first-run theater, how you operate an indie house. I think the appetite in Larchmont, from what we've learned, is really to keep a first-run, at least a first-run screen in that location. People really value having that opportunity. I'd say maybe not a big action movie you might prefer to see at New Rock, but for example, the most popular movie last year at the Larchmont Playhouse was the Amy Schumer movie Trainwreck, which is kind of a surprise. You might think it would be a child's movie, but obviously there's an appetite for date night fare in Larchmont.
Yes.
So.
I would imagine that the local restaurants and some of the other local businesses around the Playhouse are supportive.
They have been incredibly supportive.
Yeah, a lot of people have flyers up in their window to alert customers what's going on.
Are there grants that are available to save buildings or save theaters? It's an arts project.
Right. Well, see, our 501c3 is a very new thing, and we're very, very proud of it. And I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for us that were not otherwise available. But at the same time, because we're not yet sure how we're structuring this, whether we're going to be working with a business partner, somebody from whom we might lease the space as a nonprofit, or whether we're going to be purchasing it with the help of another group and some financing, it's hard. We're not quite grant worthy yet. As soon as we are, that's exactly the direction that we'll go. And we have talked to George Latimer's office also about some of the opportunities available through the state.
So the funding that you've got now in place gives you a viable plan B, that if you can't buy this building outright, you can become a tenant. Unless whoever owns it then decides to make condos out of it.
Right. Well, our understanding is they can't make residential condos out of it because the village said no to the
zoning,
the current seller. But
is that right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, I think that's news to
Yes.
some
Yes,
of us.
yeah.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Our understanding is that Mayor Walsh and her board made it clear to the seller that he could not build condos there, which was the current plan. There is no parking, that's part of it. There is access only for fire trucks in the back, so their parking is an issue. Also, it is not zoned for residential, that particular part of Palmer Avenue.
Is there a height restriction also?
I imagine there would be, just looking at the building next door has a setback second story, but those are all offices. There are no residences on that structure. But I think to answer your question about our options, if we cannot buy it outright or we cannot buy it in partnership with another nonprofit, then we would hope to be the tenant of an investor who would like to see the movies go forward. And that's the kind of person that we have been reaching out to and that we're certainly looking for more of.
It sounds kind of optimistic to me. It sounds very optimistic, actually.
We have
What's
to be
your
optimistic.
timeframe?
Well,
Is the deadlines coming up?
the movie theater is going to be dark in a couple weeks. It'll be, Bowtie is leaving in the end of September, and so I think that'll be an opportunity for people to really see what Larchmont looks like without a movie theater in the downtown. That isn't a hard and fast deadline for us. My understanding is that the seller would obviously like to sell it before he loses his only tenant who's paying rent. So
Would Bowtie ever entertain the idea of having a fundraising screening before they
it doesn't
close
seem
their
like
doors?
it. They've offered to sell us their equipment, the projectors, and which are several years old, but no, they have not offered to help us in that.
So how do people either get involved or contribute?
Well, we have a website. It's www.larchmontplayhouse.org, and on pretty much every page there is a pledge button. When you hit the pledge button, it will not give you a drop-down menu as if you were at WNYC. It'll enable you to send an email, which goes to one of the volunteers, and it's a verbal pledge at this point, a written pledge, because we're not yet accepting money. We're accepting the pledges, and very soon we'll be able to ramp up and ask people to make good on those pledges.
Yeah, you won't accept pledges until you have a set business model.
Until we
whether
have
you're
a plan.
purchase the building or be a tenant or.
If you don't mind me going slightly off topic, but since you both grew up here, do you have any fond memories you can share about going to the movies at the Playhouse?
Do you want to go first?
That won't get you into too much trouble.
I just love how you can walk right off the sidewalk and you're right in the theater. You don't have to go through a big parking garage, and it just has like
Parents can
very
send their
old,
kids
yeah,
without
it has a
an
very
adult's first experience.
old school feel to it. It's just a different experience. So just as a young kid, just it feels like a safe space. People know where you are. It's easy to get to. You drop people off right in front. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I grew up when it was still just one screen, and it felt very grand, maybe a little shabby at that point. And I do remember also being dropped off and having that kind of independence and the sense of freedom that it gave you, which was very different from a New Rock kind of experience. I think I skipped out on one movie and went to another once, but that was it. I think it might have been in Mamaroneck. It couldn't have been in Larchmont. We've met people who've said, I go there for the popcorn because the way the wonderful concession storefront enables you to go in. First of all, it's a safe space for a kid. You can walk in that lobby and no one's asked for your ticket. You can just be there. And I think seniors feel the same way. It's a place you can meet someone. You're off the pavement. You're kind of out of the weather. And at the same time, people have said, we love the popcorn, so we go and buy popcorn and bring it home with us. We don't buy a movie ticket. So it has this kind of community feel. I know Sugar Mama, the bakery next door, often has promotions if there are children's movies. For example, Finding Dory, the owner of Sugar Mama, Kim, ran a promotion where she was offering a free cupcake if you brought in your ticket stub. And I love that kind of dynamic. And to get back to the local businesses, which you mentioned before, the support has been tremendous because all of the businesses along that section of Palmer Avenue, they've all been impacted by the empty storefronts. They really don't want to see the Playhouse go. It's an energy driver in that community, and we've heard from Stitch by Stitch has our thermometer in their window. We've heard from the Voracious Reader. We've heard from La Sirene. We've heard from businesses on the other side of town. Everybody is rooting for us, and that helps us be optimistic.
Sure. Let me ask Tommy one last question. Looking at you and your age, you're representative of the millennials, and that's a population that has maybe given up on seeing pictures on a big screen, more content to watch online or watch on cable TV, etc. What's the attraction to seeing a large screen and hearing stereophonic sound coming out of several speakers? Is that part of your excitement about the movies?
I think it's something you don't realize how great an experience it is until you go back to a movie theater and sit down and feel like you're.
It's unique, yes.
Feel like you're in the scene basically. It's totally different than watching on your phone or on a computer, and it's just a nice social activity, and it's something you can't recreate without a theater. It's unique.
Well, on that note, we're going to conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you the best of luck, because we're all in the arts and in this business we are certainly, and we could partner with you and maybe
that would be
several
lovely.
different ways. Yes,
that would be terrific.
So, folks, if you're interested, you be interested, not if. You be interested in helping to save the Larchmont Playhouse, and stay tuned because
we're coming back with more community stories and, of course, the answer to the trivia question.
Okay.
This week in sports, the Rye-Neck Black Hats football team was struggling on offense until quarterback Gabe Arjum took things into his own hands in the LMC Varsity Sports Play of the Week.
It'll be interesting to see if they start to opt to do that some more.
That's the problem with going there. As Arjun fakes it, gets an opening, and he's off for the races. Arjun at the 35. He's down to the 20. He's at the 10, near the end zone, and he fights off 2 or 3 defenders, and we take him down at the 1-yard line. And just like that, Reinach is first and goal at the Fieldston 1 or 2-yard line. And what a run by Arjun. Not only did he get the first down, Ian, on a 3rd and 5 from their own 45, he got 50 more yards.
Following the fake handoff, Arjun turns, sees a hole right in front of him, and he just goes right through it, all the way down to the 1-yard line.
Do you love cars? This past weekend, the Kiwanis Car Show came to Mamaroneck. I was there, and here's the story. Car lovers from all over New York have come right here to Harbor Island Park in Mamaroneck to show off their cars at the 43rd Annual Kiwanis Car Show. From the music to shopping, antique cars, and even massages, the Kiwanis Car Show had it all. Spectators came from all over New York to enjoy the event, spend time with family, and fuel their car-loving hobby.
Yeah, this is actually our second car show. We came here last year. The little guy here loves cars as well, as you can see from his shirt. So we wanted to take him down here so we can be able to check all the cars out.
Well, I'm seeing all these cars and stuff. I really like the Corvettes that they're showing. And yeah, I think it's really cool.
Drivers and members of car clubs couldn't wait to show off their prized possessions, many of whom have been coming to Kiwanis for years, could talk for hours about the history of their cars, its horsepower and exteriors, among other things.
Sure, this is Blaze 1936. This car goes back a lot of years. A lot of people customized a lot of these older cars because they look, they call them fat fended cars.
It's a 1953 Chevy 3100 pickup truck. I did this myself in my driveway with paint remover, a power washer, and a special chemical that you put on the raw metal to make it turn to rust.
This is the new technologies, the new Z06, 650 horsepower, 650 pounds of torque. It's a beautiful car.
The Kiwanis Car Show also took place on the 15th anniversary of 9/11. Many fire departments came to Kiwanis to pay tribute to fallen heroes through their special cars and to raise money and awareness for victims through their racing clubs.
FDNY Racing is a NASCAR race team, and it was formed after 9/11 to pay tribute to 343 firefighters.
Since 1973, this car show has been happening to raise scholarships and funds that will go straight back to the community.
We give about 6 or 8 scholarships, and we sponsor a couple of sports teams. Everything goes back into the community.
Chevy lowriders seem to be a big favorite among many. The car is usually seen in the West Coast, and owner Marco Flores knew his Chevy would be a unique crowd pleaser at Kiwanis.
This car is a 1963 Chevy Impala. The car was built in New York, actually. It got a hydraulic system, can operate a real lowrider, and special designs on it and airbrush done by me.
The lowriders, I really like those lowriders, and it's not too many, like you said, not too many in New York, but they mostly out in California. You'll see a lot of them out there.
All around, this was such a great event with great music, great food, and even better cars. I'm Ral Kathwari reporting to Local Live, and I'm going to take this baby for a spin.
You're watching The Local Live,
the only news show on Larchmont and Mamaroneck on LMC TV.
Admiral is a sweet tree walker coonhound. This lovable floppy-eared pooch is 3 years old and is very social. Admiral can be shy with people, but really loves being with other dogs. He sure could use a pal to help him bring him out of this shell. For more information on how to adopt Admiral or browse other adorable pets, go to www.ny-petrescue.org.
Remember, if you'd like to keep us on air, support our program by checking out our website at www.lmctv.org and click the donate button in the upper right corner. We really appreciate any contribution.
We are always welcoming new interns and volunteers, so send your emails to the local live at lmctv.org and join us. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alexandria Garcia.
And I'm Marala Kathwari. See you next week for another episode of The Local Live.
Go. Slow. Whoa.
Can the local live give my pet ostrich